Okay, I think we are live. Get a sip of my water, get my radio voice going. Let's see who trickled in here. These have actually had a pretty decent turnout the last few days. It takes people a minute to get in here, though. It takes people a minute to get in. I am going to state with these, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to try to be much more polite with people. Yeah, it looks like you're the first. I'm probably not going to warn people, but I'm just going to remove anyone who trolls. And people say, "Well, I can't tell if I'm trolling." You can't tell if you're trolling, then maybe you shouldn't interact with other human beings. I'm just saying. People know when they're doing it. And here's a basic rule to follow in here. I'm going to be respectful to people in here. I demand it in return. Um, Here's the basic rule you should use. Ask yourself if what I'm about to say, would I dare say this to another man and face to face? Would I do that? Or would I be worried about getting fired or written up at my job if I said this to someone at work in front of a manager? Right? I think that's a good rule. Like if you really if you think that what you're about to write might get you in trouble at your job, or might cause another person in person to physically strike you, that's probably not a good idea to say that. And I think that's a fair rule. Okay, so we got some questions going. Emperor Biden says, "Appreciate the new attitude, Jason. Shows personal growth. Thank you." And I'm not saying I'm always going to be consistent. I'm going to slip up. I'm going to try to be a lot more polite and respectful with people in general. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm a human being. Okay, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Uh, Dan says, "What's up, Jason? How's things going, brother?" Yeah, they're doing all right. How about yourself, man? How you doing? Brendan asks, "Is a lateral raise and upright rows good for max growth and side delts?" Well, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't they be? We could argue whether you even need to train the side delts or not. That's a point of contention. Okay, that is a point of contention actually. But whether those exercises are phenomenal for your side delts is not a point of controversy, right? I don't think that it is. So let's get some more questions in here. Oh, some people they have to probably subscribe to post their questions. I've done flat and incline barbell pause press a day and felt in my chest way more than dumbbells. Um, yeah, I mean the thing is, Brendan, always remind people feel is not everything. It really isn't. It's not, but I don't think we should fully ignore it. I think people can overemphasize it a little because biomechanics are biomechanics. Like if a muscle is working or not based upon a range of motion, a technique, angles. We know these things. Uh, you know, but as far as those movements go, though, done with a pause for a full range of motion, flat benching and incline barbell benching with a pause done for a full range of motion are phenomenal chest builders. And I like that combination. I mean, if you really want to combine a couple exercises together, that's a real good combo. And I've done videos on that recently. How do you eat an ultra high carb diet without the bloat? Get certain carbs. Dean, you need to ask what else is going on that's causing you to bloat in your diet. Are you consuming too much sodium? Because if I eat a bunch of salt, yeah, I mean, I'll put on 10 pounds of water. I don't eat a lot of salt these days. That's a factor. The other thing, people who worry about that, it's kind of like, what's your drug stack look like? If carbs are bloating you that much and you tell me you're drug free, I'm going to question it. I'm going to usually question number one, you're bullshitting me about your drugs. Number two, sorry, that's just a fact. Number two, maybe you have a body image issue and you're not really bloating as much as you think. Because carbs in general, unless you have a specific intolerance, shouldn't be causing that. Okay, it shouldn't be causing that. Now, you might have some gastrointestinal issues contributing, and that's what's going on. It's not the carbohydrates, because if you can eat a bunch of white rice, you probably are not going to bloat from it. Yeah. So, let's see. Marco asked, how do I know whenever I'm stalling, or is just the progress actually being slow, since you can't progress week to week once you're more advanced? Marco, that's really the thing. And here's what I would point out. If you're an advanced lifter and you go a month without being able to add any weight or reps to a supplemental lift, as an advanced lifter, that's not necessarily a stall. It's not necessarily a stall because you're an advanced lifter. It's just a sign that you're not growing as fast. So here's the thing I would say: if you know your training is good, you have to ask that question of, is the rest of your lifestyle on point to be growing the muscle you want to gain? That's what you have to ask. Because if we know our programming is good, we know we're growing, it just may not be growing fast enough for you to add weight or reps as quick as you would like. But muscle growth is a slow process, and once neural adaptations occur, lifts just don't go up much. Dean says, I'm good, man. Thanks for asking. Is Saif still part of Team Blaha? Not seen him on the channel in a while. No, Saif ran into different issues with budget, and he dropped out some time back. He was on for a long time. Do I expect that he will eventually come back? Yes, he's still on my friends list. He's still there. He's still active. So he'll probably eventually come back. And that happens a lot. Like I have right now, I have 3 clients, former clients, who've told me they would like to come back within the next month. That's normal. It happens a lot. It happens all the time with what I do. I can literally be down clients and have a bunch of slots open, and all of a sudden 5 former clients will come back all at one time. It's normal. Are the YouTube lives like the Facebook ones? I mean, I know you're more laid back with the question topics on Facebook. Yeah, no, I'm willing to entertain stuff here that's a little more drug related, not so much on Facebook due to the rules, but I mean, I'm only going to go so deep. Thanks, Coach. How many days a week do you train? 4. And all 4 of them are uploaded to all of my social media. Well, not all. They're uploaded to YouTube and Facebook. I don't put them on Instagram. They're uploaded every single workout, year round. Do you use short rest between sets, or are you fully rested for your accessories? I do pretty long on hybrids. Let me reword that. Most of my accessories, I take long breaks. Band work, reverse hypers, not so much. Like I a lot of times I'll do 30 seconds on reverse hypers. They're just not that fatiguing with the weight I use, right? But a lot of my other accessories, I mean, it could be 3 minutes. It's not uncommon. My big exercises, it can be more. Like my bench, when I do the bench and then a row superset, those can be up to 5 minutes apart. All right. I don't time it though. The only time I used to do the really short was for speed work. But some minor things, it's just not a big deal. Like if I'm doing high rep bands, like I said, reverse hypers, short breaks, not a big deal. For someone who trains for general strength, not for powerlifting, do you recommend benching with a pause or touch and go? No, I think pause benching is going to give you better development, better pecs, definitely. Right? Do you still believe that the 200-pound press is needed? No, I don't even care about the press at all. I haven't for a long time. Optional question: is it true that Joe Frazier had to drop out because he didn't want to eat enough to recover? I'm not going to go into what Joe's specifics were. Not going to go into Joe's specifics because there's certain stuff with clients that people don't always need to know. There needs to be a degree of confidentiality. Gosh, how many years ago was that? That was a long time at this point. That was over 2 years ago. Might even be close to 3. Going by what you said about tricep activation on the bench press, is lacking strength on high rep compared to low reps a good indicator of a chest weakness? On your bench, possibly, yeah. Jason, you mad at me for correcting your grammar? No, we're cool. All good, man. Have you taken any legal action to prevent your footage being used to train an AI fit? What? I have no idea what that even means. I don't even know. I don't understand your question. No idea. Was Will Tennyson one of your clients? I know he is a huge fan. No, he did contact me at one time about possibly coming on, but he never did. I haven't done overhead press in 2 years, and shoulders are my best body part, probably just my genetic strong point, since my shoulders were always better relative to other parts. I don't see much point in overhead press. Yeah, it's something, and my stance has changed on quite a bit over the years. And I think I've discussed in a live why that needs to be. There's reasons I need to, for personal purposes, need to kind of look down on the overhead press. And it has to do with the fact that I know that it hurts my shoulders. I know that it holds my bench back, right? Repeatedly over and over and over and over. Shoulder health is critical, is one of the biggest factors in me getting my bench up to where it is now. It's been a huge factor. And because I really had an emotional attachment to the overhead press, I need to get that attachment gone, if that makes sense. So it's a personal thing for me in my ability to do the best that I can do. Jason, can you discuss lactate activation on bench press in a video? Maybe. I don't think it's overly complicated. Just spread the bar. That's it. Right? Spread the bar. There you go. That's everything you need to know. Your lats are now engaged. Do I need to do direct arm work if I do 5 sets of dips and pull-ups twice a week? I don't know. Do you? Depends on what's going on with your specific training. You can't take something like that as a generic question. You have to look at the specifics of what's going on with your muscle growth, where you're stalling, your recovery. That's a very individual thing. You might not need to. Is it true that you know what is basically liquid confidence, or is that overhyped? You mean alcohol? No, alcohol is liquid confidence. I'm not a fan of it. I choose not to drink. All right. Okay. I always get shoulder discomfort from dip foot exercises. The best alternatives: bench press. We know we get a better chest stimulus when we pause on the bench. Do we miss out on anything if we don't pause on the squat? Oh, squat's a little more nuanced. And here's the thing. With squats, sorry, my hamstring tried to cramp. I just did a lower body session. Get those legs out straight. All right. With squats, the difference is you can get a true stretch reflex at the bottom of a squat. So it makes it a little bit different. That stretch reflex is different. It's very, very different. So that's one reason I kind of point out when we do box work, it's different. We come to a complete stop on the box. But for general squatting, no, I think getting the stretch reflex, because there's not a hard stop the same way you can get a stretch reflex, you should probably lean in that direction. But it's not to say you can't use pause work, right? Pause work does have its place on the squat. Thought I missed something. Dan, you need to be, I don't understand your question. Like when you say liquid confidence, what do you mean, in what way, and what specific drugs are we talking about? Because the psychology of anabolics is a very complex, nuanced topic. Okay, that's not a simple question. That's not a simple question because different drugs impact you psychologically different anabolics do. Okay, so you need to get into very, very deep detail on that question. Because there are absolutely anabolics that don't give you the same androgen response. There are anabolics that can contribute to more depression or more laid back attitude more than others. Others can boost your confidence. That's very individual. A lot of it has to do with things like androgen activity, cross binding to things like progesterone receptors. So again, nuanced topic. AI is looking at training footage and creating programs without compensating the creators. People are suing AI. No, I did not know that, Charles. Jason, is your program on Boost Camp? I don't know what that is. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. Besides creatine, vitamin D, and omegas, are there any other supplements worth taking for recovery, general health? Yeah, K2 potentially. If you need it, depending on what's up with your diet, possibly magnesium. I like melatonin for sleep quality. I asked about deep squats, and you told me it's my choice. Zach, here's the thing I've found as I've gotten older. This is one of the things that Wendler, and I get that Wendler does put out some stuff that's really trendy and some bro science stuff. I get that. But he's got a lot of really good information. He is a legitimately good coach. He really is. And he's kind of noted the same thing. Look, all the deep squatting for your older lifters, it doesn't do well for knees. And I know people want to claim, oh, that's not true. But we've all observed it, right? We've all observed it. So the thing is, as you get older, it's just something to think about. It's a reason I'm not doing much of it these days. It's a reason I'm doing things a little different with that. And if you listen in, Winning has talked about some conversations he had with Poliquin about that before Charles Poliquin passed. Jason, can you answer my question regarding the importance of leg curls extensions? They are widely used, but no, you personally don't do them. I just don't think leg extensions are that important or that great. Leg curls have their place. I prescribe leg curls to some clients. Jason, are the Canadian fires impacting Texas? I have no idea. Does DECA cause you to have weird sexual fantasies? I don't think so. Not for me. I don't use DECA these days. But I can't say that it did. Do you prefer? Why do you prefer? Because, David, it's not my program. And I've used it. I've had clients run it. I've messed with it. And it has limitations. I don't think it is really the best way to train. It's not bad. It's just not that great. And accordingly, what happened is that my entire lives before, people were flooding them with 531 questions. And so accordingly, I would prefer you go to Wendler with your 531 questions. It's his program. Is 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram body weight enough, or we benefit from more? Is it the same in a deficit surplus, or do we need more in a deficit? Marco, for muscle growth, I'm going to say there's no real benefit to more. There really isn't. Probably the same for muscle preservation based upon the available data. There are other potential metabolic benefits to higher protein. But for your gains themselves, nothing. No, there's no reason to think there is. Jason, our First Amendment audit's unethical. I don't know what a First Amendment audit is. What happened to the breakfast chats that were good? I'm not eating in front of the camera anymore. In fact, the ones that you saw were all old by the time they came up. So those breakfast chats, I continued to upload them once after I quit making them. So I haven't done any of those in well over a year, and I don't see them coming back. What happened to breakfast chats? Oh, sorry. What is your program? My home programming. I have 5 or 6 free programs on this page. A lot of them are very, very well known. They're here available. Jason, what handgun would you recommend for a novice who needs it for self-defense? I don't want to do a lot of gun stuff here. I like a Glock 19 as a starter. What are you practicing on the guitar these days besides scales and picking exercises? This week I am working on Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits, which is actually one of my favorite songs. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. I've been doing a lot of Texas blues stuff lately, but I decided to grab that one and mess with it a little bit. I decided to mess with it, and so I'm working on it. I'm struggling getting the picking down on it, though, the way I would like. Okay. I understand where you're coming from, but that's just one coach. There are countless elderly people. Zach, again, it's been a lot of my experience that is true. And so, again, I just choose not to do it, and I choose not to generally promote it past a certain point. Please play the guitar on live stream. I don't want to do that yet. John, eventually, I might do that. Thank you for the donation, though. I'm not going to do it right now, but eventually I might. Do you have a specific cutting routine you follow in the gym, or just cut back calories? Just cut back your calories. You shouldn't change your programming significantly on a cut, other than you might have to train a little bit less. When rotating out accessory exercises, how long should we keep them out of programming until reintroducing them? Are you doing it because you're concerned with overuse? If you're concerned with overuse, then keep them out as long as you need to. Sometimes I take an accessory out for a week, for 3 weeks. I might take it out for 6 or 9 months. Depends on what you want to put in that slot. David, the difference is I actually program a lot of conjugate. 531 is a very, very, very specific program and set of books, and I don't use it. I'm not that big on it. Can we get a look at your home studio? Well, you can kind of see all my stuff back there. It's not really that complicated of a studio. I've got my guitars there. I've got my amp down there, my Marshall amp, the Xbox Series X, I believe that's what I have. I forget the names. God, I forget names and stuff. It's pretty much what I have in the studio. Got my exercise bike right over there, my printer. Do steroids cause a loss of interest in sex? I've heard some guys say they want to have sex 5 times a day, one on side. Depends on what people are taking. Certain combinations will boost your performance and your drive through the roof. Where you not only want to, they can have them 5 times a day. Okay. Taking out an accessory because it's stalling on progression, I don't know that I would always recommend that. It's usually overuse, or you feel there's something better to use in place of it. It's my reasons. Do you coach any bodybuilders looking to start? Alex, I've coached a few off-season bodybuilders. I do not do show prep. However, if I have a client who competes in bodybuilding and they don't already have a prep coach, I have multiple friends who are prep coaches and would recommend them to them. It's usually what I do. Is it possible to make it on YouTube Fitness as a natty, since most fitness YouTubers are on gears? No. Marco, no. It's not going to happen. Last squat question, man, but considering you've had issues with depth in the past, you're trying to go most of the lightweight, wouldn't it be better? Zach, I kind of feel like I've answered that one into the ground. I don't feel the knee health side is worth it. It's just not. Ben, I have lived in College Station before. I think everyone already knows that. I've been training like crazy for years. Oh, someone says, do you have any clients who competed in street lifting? I'm not 100% sure what street lifting is. All right. All right, this guy says, I've been training like crazy for years and have the exact same total I had 10 years ago. Very frustrating. Could be due to my age. That could be. Yeah, absolutely. But David, your score improved. So here's the thing. If you're 10 years older and you change weight classes, your dots and Wilks have gone up, even if you get the same total. You are now more competitive. Always remember that. Does sumo have better carryover to conventional than vice versa? I feel that it does, yes. Jason, do you think SARMs will ever become FDA approved? Probably not. Why would they? And real anabolics are better in every way imaginable at this point in the game. All right. What are your thoughts on lead to relax? I personally feel like it excuses sometimes limits ambition. I think that's the real problem with it, right? I think that's the real problem with cannabis. The thing with cannabis, I think it can help people relax, and I think that's a legitimately useful tool for it. It really can. But the loss of inhibition or the ambition, I'm sorry, yeah, limiting ambition can definitely be an issue, right? And I'd say that's the number one concern with it, really. What are your thoughts on Zercher squats? I'm not really a fan. Cian, I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you so much. And I know you're a regular. Do you coach women who are on gear? I have. What's with the MGTOW stuff you posted? I don't have any MGTOW stuff. Yeah, sorry, Chris. I don't have MGTOW stuff. No, I said that I'm not a fan. That's just not my scene. That is literally what I said on Facebook. I'm sorry if you're really into that scene and it's your thing. I mean, that's your business. I'm just not. I mean, it's okay. It's not my bag, baby. What's your thoughts on hammer strength chest press for some volume without hurting recovery too much? It's an okay. I think I like free weights more, just in general for chest stuff. Me personally, I don't think the hammer strength machine is inherently bad. I think as far as machines go, it's probably better one. Thoughts on intermittent fasting to stay in a deficit? That depends on the person. Oh, Chris, you said where did the big toe thing come from? Because people were asking me. They were literally asking me, and they thought I was part of it. And I'm like, no, sorry, guys, I'm not. It was multiple people on multiple platforms. No question. Just wanted to stop by and say thanks for the free info you give. You were most welcome, Benny. Chris says, would you consider yourself red pilled? No, I wouldn't. Nope. Not my thing, dude. Do you agree with Louis Simmons' segment on 3-week assistance movement ways and his claims that you regress if you push a movement past that temporary threshold? I don't know that I fully agree with that. Is it really hot over there? I'm in Texas. I'm just north of Houston. It is redunculously hot. Why do Good Morning seem to carry a reputation of being unsafe in comparison to other lifts? I don't know, Ziller. I don't get it myself. Darko, we've all had clients who got seriously hurt. I've had clients who got hurt doing stuff I didn't even program for them. I have literally had clients do something outside of the program that I wrote for them and get injuries that required surgery. I mean, it happens. I've had a client who I told to reset their deadlifts, and they did a higher rep set, taking it to 1 rep in reserve, and they started bouncing it and doing touch and go and got hurt, right? Even though I told them I wanted them to reset the reps. Of course, they didn't blame me. They did say, you were right. You told me this before. I didn't listen, and now I have to have surgery. It happens. These things happen. It's just the nature of it. It doesn't happen that often. How does the training that you give your fighters differ the training for a power lifter? It's just differences. I mean, I've put up blogs kind of showing the difference. You guys have seen multiple of my powerlifter vlogs, and then you've seen definitely a fighter vlog, right? So go look at Josh's vlogs. Josh is always kind of in and out as a client. He's supposed to be back already, but I never know how that's going to work out. All right. Thoughts on cold showers? I prefer hot showers. Why would you want to take a cold shower? I mean, I guess if it's really hot, a cold shower might be good. Do you think it's a good idea to go on a 2-year-long bulk like Devin Palumbo did to gain a lot of mass? Or is it better to have mini cuts? No, I think sometimes it's justified. Did a client ever blame you for getting hurt even though it was their fault? Darko, no, I've not actually had that happen. Okay. John, I'm not going to answer some of those questions now. I do appreciate the donation, though, that you gave, but I'm not going to go into questions about my thoughts on specific ethnic groups of women. Come on. I don't want this to be some ridiculous racist rant that starts. Okay, I'm not interested in that. Okay, I'm not interested. I just don't care. Thoughts on 200 test 600 primo for a first cycle? That's not bad. Will client Isaac come back in the future? That will not be happening. And again, I'm not going to reveal people's personal information. Again, I'm a coach. I will simply say that the option will not be open. Unless he just wanted to give me an exorbitant amount of money for it. I suppose in theory for $1,000 a month, any client could return. Joking aside, but no, not going to happen. All right. So let's skim through some of the stuff that people should already know about my own training. What would you choose between an F-150, a Silverado, and a 1500? I don't know. They all have perks. I've actually owned an F-150. I've owned 2 different Silverados. I don't know. Why are you making me pick? Coach, what would you recommend to add to my 200 milligram per week TRT dose to gain some size? Another anabolic. Has your client Michelle switched from powerlifting? What she shared on Facebook makes you think she's focused on the aesthetics. No, we're still powerlifting. What about novice clients where we see him again in the future? No idea. How many clients have you had to fire over the year? Well, that's a good question. How many clients have I fired? Like I told them, we're done. 3. So it's pretty rare, relatively rare. It happens though. I mean, as a coach or a trainer, it will happen to you eventually. Oh, Casey, thank you for the donation. Let's go to your question. Would you say box squats are better for tight ankles? I think for people who have limited dorsiflexion, box squats are great. They're actually great for that. Why does Louis Simmons say pecs don't matter on bench and bench is all triceps? Multiply benching is probably a big factor. I don't have a belt squat machine in my gym. Could I stand on 2 boxes and use a belt to load plates and mimic? You could, or you could do leg presses. You could do single joint exercises. Will bench always go down during a cut since it seems that the most correlation with body weight? My bench always sucked due to long arms and had to bulk to make gains on it. I'm worried about losing them on a cut. So, not always. It's most likely to go down, Marco. I don't want us to get caught up in the idea that it's always right. That it's always going to go down. It's very likely to go down. It's very likely to go down. But it's not guaranteed to. I mean, in some cases, you might actually increase it. That's just rare. Is it possible to get enough creatine from food, or should I take a supplement for optimal levels? I think most people should supplement it, but for muscle gaining purposes, it's possible to get enough from food. That really is. But do you really want to eat that much lean steak? By the way, I wanted to thank you for your inspiration. I now coach almost 30 clients at $800 a month. You coach 800 each? That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal, dude. Oh my God. I wouldn't have gotten started without your lead. The business has been very fruitful to me. Chris, I'm very, very glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that I inspired you to do so, right? Is a 405 ass-to-grass squat just as impressive as a 500 parallel squat? No. Nope. It's just as impressive. A 500 ass-to-grass squat is just as impressive as a 500 parallel. Could you get away with lower dose at 200 tests, 300 people? The only thing to remember, though, with those, keep an eye on your E2 when you start running ratios like that, because it may crash it. It's a bit of a problem I had. I recently read about longer arm lifters taking a more narrow grip on the bench to allow more tricep engagement while losing much chest activation. Do you think this is true? I don't know that that's really the case. I think you do lose chest activation. I think you do. Can wrist traps help with tennis elbow? I don't know that that's the case. Maybe. I would need to look further into that, specifically what's going on. How do I increase my mobility so I can still do proper sumo deadlifts? Can't get deep enough in my stance. Try some box sumos, deadlifts, possibly wide stance belt squats, and see if you can get it where you want it. What are your thoughts on peptides like CJC 1295 and ipamorelin? Okay. So these are a GHRP and a GHRH that you just listed. So I guess the CJC is the no DAC because you didn't say with DAC. I don't know. It depends on which one you're looking at. There's a different time release on those. The thing is, I'm not a fan. I don't think they compete with real growth hormone. We're not in the dark ages anymore. Okay. I want people to understand we're not in the dark ages anymore. Growth hormone is not that hard to get or expensive. It isn't. Things have changed in the last 5 years a lot. So with the price and availability of growth hormone, I think those peptides are completely obsolete. What's the most stupid steroid cycle you've ever seen a first timer do? I've seen novices use 2 grams before. What's your thoughts on decline bench press for increasing the flat bench? I think it's a good lift for that, potentially. Do you still coach a lot of clients? Yes, I do. What's up, Jason? Thoughts on volume work for deadlifts, long arm dude, squat, 495, 325 for 3 by 8 on good mornings. You can't break a 545 deadlift sumo. You need to fix your weak links on your deadlift. That's what you need to do. Okay? Find your weak links and hypertrophy it. What were some of your favorite jazz songs to play back in the day? I don't even remember whatever they had us play in the class and with the little things we did at the school. Eye of the Tiger. And before you laugh, you're going to be like, what? That's not a jazz song. Okay. This is a high school class. And our instructor really liked Eye of the Tiger. So even though it was honors jazz, almost everything we did in the class was work on scales. He'd have us do everything off of a B flat blues scale. And we learned how to play Eye of the Tiger so that we could perform Eye of the Tiger at a basketball game at school. I mean, again, context. It's high school. It was a high school class. But you know what? It was fun, and I learned a lot of things there. I learned a lot of things about music in that class, and it changed my view of music quite a bit. And I'm glad that I took it. Right? I'm glad I took it, even though I quit playing not long after high school. Now that I picked it back up, there's things that I learned in the class that are helpful. But I'm gonna be honest, like the only song that I remember us doing was Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger, like, Rocky. Yeah. Is a standing 55-inch box jump impressive for a 5'5" guy? Yeah, I suppose. But I've exercises to get super thick abs. Weighted crunches, maybe. Are you planning to bring back the J-Om press soon? Seems like you did really well for you in the past. I actually might. I've thought about it. Chris, I'm not going to go into the specifics on Facebook and money. Like, that's no one's business. But if you did basic research, you would already know the answer to that. You would know that Facebook has 8 different monetization programs. So, but I'm not going to go into my specifics. Have any of your clients experienced issues with personal confidence? If so, how do you deal with that? Different ways. I mean, stuff we talk about with some of them. Confidence outside the weight room, confidence under a heavy weight. It's just you deal with it as an individual. Figure out what your client needs. You do it. All right, guys. But I feel like this was a good live. Everything went good. It was productive. Trolling was minimal, which is a good thing. And I was very polite to every one of them, including some of you who I thought about getting rid of, but I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. Hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.